And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now is our friend, New York Congressman Peter King, who, of course, is a member of the Homeland Security Committee, former chair, member of the Select Committee on Intelligence, and also chairman of the House Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence. Hello, Congressman.
Steve, great to be with you.
Well, thank you. Great to talk to you. Unfortunately, we're talking about Kenya and related matters. Your analysis, I mean, you held the hearings, and you've addressed these kinds of issues, and you've addressed, and I'm talking about right now, Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda offshoot that's responsible for this attack in Kenya. Do you know any more about the possibility that as many as 3 of the attackers are, in fact, American?
Steve, I can't confirm that officially. I'm hearing the same thing you're hearing, but having said that, I do know that there have been at least 40 Americans who have traveled from the United States to Somalia to fight, to be trained and fight alongside Al-Shabaab. About 15 of them have been killed, so there's at least 20 or 25 that we know of who are still in Somalia. So there could well be Americans in that group that attacked them all.
And this is, I mean, this basically, what is it, a couple of communities, including St. Paul?
Yeah, St. Paul, Minneapolis and St. Paul is the main community. There's also Portland, Maine is another one, some parts of Ohio. But St. Paul, Minneapolis, that is the main area that they come from. This went on. In fact, when I had the hearings that I was so attacked for 2 years ago on Islamic radicalization in this country, the very first hearing I had, one of the main witnesses was an uncle of a young man who actually, the uncle raised him as his son, and this nephew started spending a lot of time in the mosque, which the father thought was good because it was a criminal element in the community. The next thing you know, actually on election night, 2008, the nephew disappeared, and when the uncle went to the mosque to find out what happened, he was told his nephew had become a drug dealer, and there was a bad kid, and had just taken off. Actually, the mosque had facilitated him going to Somalia to fight alongside Al-Qaeda, and the mosque never told the uncle that. When the son wanted to come back and get away from Al-Qaeda, he was killed or murdered that day, and then the leaders in the mosque told the community not to cooperate with the police or the FBI. So that's the situation out in St. Paul and Minneapolis, and again, there's at least 40 or 50 that we know of. And the concern is, one, that they're fighting for an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia, but also that they can take the skills, if you want to call them that they've learned, and bring them back here to the U.S. or bring them on to Europe.
It was frightening and chilling, the way it's been described by survivors of the attack, that they separated the Muslims from the non-Muslims and then asked questions regarding religion to see if they were Muslim, in fact, and then just shot people in the back, men, women, and children with AK-47s. You look at that mall, it's a soft target, and, God forbid, but it does make you wonder, and I've wondered this aloud every day when I was doing a show on WABC in 2001. I think the next day, we all started wondering and speculating, when is it going to come to that here? How soon? Is that the next step? And we've been lucky, and we've been diligent. But soft targets are soft targets. What could we do, and how big is the threat right now here?
Yeah, well, you're right about soft targets. If they make it to a mall with explosives and automatic weapons, they're going to succeed to the extent they will at least kill a lot of people, wound, injure a lot of people. You have to stop them before they get there, and that's why, for instance, what Commissioner Ray Kelly has done in New York with the NYPD of monitoring the communities, which would be the Muslim communities where you expect the terrorists might come from, to be preempted, to stop them before they get started, to find out who's purchasing explosive-type materials from local stores, to find out if people are gathering, to find out if somebody has arrived from overseas, and to see what they're doing. I mean, this requires constant surveillance, constant monitoring. That's called profiling. It's called discrimination. The fact is that is one of the main reasons why we have not been attacked. For instance, in New York, we've headed off 15 different attacks, at least, against New York City. And nationally, the FBI, I think for the most part, has done a good job. Sometimes they get too politically correct. That comes from the Justice Department. But having said that, for the most part, they have been able to preempt and stop a number of attacks. Now, when they do that, then they get accused of infiltrating mosques. They get accused of profiling. And I get the impression, like in Boston, that there were so many restrictions put on the FBI that they couldn't even go to the mosque to find out if that older brother have
Right.
radicalized them.
Right. Well, those restrictions, and I hate to be all over the place, but those restrictions, in part, have come from groups like CARE.
Absolutely.
And you know, CARE put out their, I don't know if it's yearly, but I think it is, their Islamophobic list, and you were on it. I spoke to Andy McCarthy a little while ago, and he's going to play that soon. He said that he's a little disappointed that he wasn't on it. You were on it, and you know, they tear you apart, of course, for holding the hearings and being an Islamophobe. But I got to tell you, with what you just said, that the FBI is limited, with the fact that the president now allows us to give weapons to Al-Qaeda in Syria, with the fact that Ray Kelly is going away, his policies may be going away, it's gotten scrutiny from the Justice Department on the infiltration of mosques and other suspicious or possibly suspicious groups. We don't stick terrorist heads underwater anymore if we catch them here. You know, wow, what is going on here?
Yeah, I am very concerned, and you know, the president tries to create this myth that you know the war is over. That in fact he had said that we were in a pre-9/11 era now, implying sort of a law enforcement matter. No, these terrorists in many ways are more sophisticated and more of a threat than they were before 9/11. Maybe not to carry out an attack on the scale of 9/11, but certainly in an attack on the scale of what happened in Kenya or what happened in Mumbai. That can certainly happen. You have hundreds and hundreds of people killed and have whole areas devastated. So that is certainly not just possible. We're just almost inviting it if we keep stepping back, if we keep apologizing, if we keep tying the hands of the police, if we keep imposing politically correct restrictions. It's going to be difficult for us to maintain. Because you're right, we've been lucky and we've been good, but we have to be very, very good for us to be lucky. And sooner or later, our luck is going to run out, and that we have to stay on offense. And unfortunately, whether it's New York City or whether it's the Justice Department, we seem to be stepping back from that.
And you've decided, at least I believe you've decided, you're running for president, right?
Well, no, I've been asked to consider it. I've gone to New Hampshire a few times, but it would be at least a year and a half before I make it.
All right, if you were the president right now and you were in New York for the UN, as Obama is, and the president, the new, wonderfully moderate president of Iran, I say that with my tongue firmly planted, was in New York as well, would you arrange a meeting with him?
No, not unless there was so much done behind the scenes where I was guaranteed something was happening. But no, it would, to me, just be a PR stunt that would be used by the Iranians. There's no reason to think that we can trust them at all. And again, no. The answer is no.
And one more, health care. You've been very outspoken about not shutting down the government. The vote was taken. You know who the one Republican was who voted no?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Scott Ridgel of Virginia. He's a very conservative guy, so I don't know his reason.
Yeah, okay, but so you voted yes. So how far are you willing to go with this?
Well, let's see how the negotiations go. I don't want the government to shut down because I agree with Tom Coburn in this. I don't see this as being a winning strategy, but there's other things that can be done, and I want to give John Boehner the tools to get it done. See what we can get.
Do you think, if 1 to 10, what are the odds that something could succeed in getting this job done?
I'd say we have about a 60% chance.
60% chance of defunding Obamacare?
No, 60. Not of defunding. You're not going to defund Obamacare at this stage. 60% chance of getting a deal that's worth going.
Okay,
forward.
And of defunding Obamacare?
Not this time around, no. I don't see it.
Congressman, always a pleasure, sir.
Steve.
Thank you. Congressman Peter King, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Yeah, it's, the fact that the president has written a letter, reportedly, to the new president of Iran, Rouhani. Just because Rouhani is saying certain things, sending certain signals, Rouhani is a figurehead. Iran is run by the Ayatollahs. And am I wrong? A couple of years ago, didn't Obama reach out to the Ayatollahs in Iran as well? And again, he will meet with the Ayatollahs. He will meet with the president of Iran. He will negotiate with Vladimir Putin. But he calls Boehner up over the weekend and says, I will not negotiate with you. Just keep that in mind going forward. But Iran is run by mullahs, run by Ayatollahs. This president is a figurehead. And by the way, the radical Ayatollahs have to approve every presidential candidate. So this guy may wear, look like he's a new breed. He's relaxed. He's saying the right things, blah, 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 blah. Although he was interviewed the other day, asked about the deniers of the Holocaust. He would not not speak out against the Holocaust deniers, would not say the Holocaust occurred. He's the same thing that we've gotten before, only this guy doesn't wear it. The other guy wore, Ahmadinejad wore a members-only jacket. This guy dresses differently, has a turban. But it's the Ayatollahs who are running Iran. If you reach out to this guy and you're President Obama, you might as well just give it up. Weak, weak, and weaker. You've heard of Dumb and Dumber? Weak and weaker. All right, we're coming back. 855-777-9660. Let me see if I could find the list here. I can find the list here. And I would love for you folks to weigh in. Should the president meet with the Iranian president? And what should we do? Should we be giving weapons to Al-Qaeda? Should we be tightening security at our malls and movie theaters and shopping centers and pizza places and restaurants? Or do we just take our chances? I want to hear from you. 855-777-9660. And most importantly, schools. Should not every school have at least one armed guard with an AK-47? On the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.